We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV.
On radio.
On digital. Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices with honest and civilised conversation.
We are not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
My name's Tom Harwood and join me 9:30 a.m. every weekday for The Briefing, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about what's going on in politics today.
I wonder if this is a deal that might need to be like the biscuits in this factory, twice baked.
Is there not an opportunity here to win out against the extremes?
Tom Harwood, GB News.
What are you going to do about it?
Things should have been done differently, and they certainly are being done differently.
Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, 9:30 Monday to Friday on GB News.
Where would you like to go?
Just take me to the studio, please, Matt. You know where you're going. I've got a show to do. Friday Night Feast on GB News, 7 p.m. And it's like nothing you've ever seen before. We take a different angle on the week's biggest news stories. The viewers and listeners set me some absolutely mad challenges to do. We tried to rehome a rescue dog. And yes, there's some other wacky stuff in there as well. I feel like I could take on the world. Well, that's that. Friday Night Feast with me, Patrick Christie's, every Friday, 7 till 9 p.m. on GB News. Be there.
I'm Rhiannon Jones in the GB Newsroom. The race for Prime Minister is gaining momentum, with the newly appointed Chancellor becoming the latest MP to launch his leadership bid. Nadhim Zahawi is pledging to lower taxes, boost defence spending and continue with education reforms. His announcement comes after the Transport Secretary Grant Shapps joined the contest, along with former Equalities Minister Kemi Badenoch and Rishi Sunak. The Foreign Secretary Liz Truss is also expected to run. Earlier, Defence Secretary Ben Wallace, who is tipped as a front-runner, ruled himself out of the race, saying he's focusing on his current job. Member for Wickham Steve Baker says the party now needs to find stability.
I know people are terribly angry and upset and bitter, and I've been called all the names under the sun, but we've got to face the reality. If he wasn't going, he couldn't form a government, and you just can't go on like that. You can't stand alone. You've got to form a government, and his government just collapsed. And that's very serious. What we need is political stability. I regret he's going. It's the right decision. We need to now try and find an optimistic way forward.
The new Education Minister has admitted she should have shown more composure after she made a rude gesture outside Downing Street. Andrea Jenkins was seen raising her middle finger at what she described as a baying mob. She says she reacted after reaching the end of her tether and that she's only human. She was appointed Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State on Friday as part of Boris Johnson's cabinet reshuffle. A serving Metropolitan Police officer has appeared in court charged with rape. Special Constable Paul Hoyle was arrested in Essex on Wednesday following an alleged attack near Newport in Shropshire. He's been suspended from the force and has been remanded in custody. A new training programme for Ukrainian soldiers has started in the UK. British troops will train up to 10,000 Ukrainians at sites across the country. It's being run by the Ministry of Defence, which says it'll give volunteer recruits the necessary skills to fight Russian forces on the front line. Sri Lanka's President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has announced he will step down on Wednesday. It follows growing unrest with protesters setting fire to his home in the capital. Anti-government demonstrators stormed his official residence, with some taking advantage of the swimming pool. The announcement comes just hours after the Prime Minister said he's willing to resign to make way for an all-party government. Protesters are demanding a change in regime as the country sees its worst economic crisis in more than 70 years. At least 2 people were gored during Pamplona's third bull run. The injuries are the first of that nature. This is in Spain. Since the event started on Wednesday, thousands of people turn out every year to watch the spectacle, with the weekend particularly crowded. 4 others were taken to hospital with concussions and injuries after falling. Muslims around the world are marking Eid this weekend. Thousands of people gathered in Birmingham for morning prayers for the second and biggest of the 2 main holidays on the Islamic calendar. It coincides with the Hajj pilgrimage in Saudi Arabia. These are shots from Mecca, where hundreds of thousands of pilgrims have been gathering for the annual ritual, throwing pebbles on giant columns which symbolise Satan. Numbers are being limited this year in the wake of the pandemic. And history's been made at Wimbledon, with Elena Rybakina becoming the first player from Kazakhstan to win a Grand Slam title. The 23-year-old fought back to beat Tunisian third seed Ons Jabeur in 3 sets in the women's singles final. She was born in Moscow, but despite Wimbledon's ban on Russian and Belarusian players after the invasion of Ukraine, Rybakina was allowed to compete. She switched to represent Kazakhstan 4 years ago. However, her win has been hailed as a stunning victory for Russian tennis by members of the country's tennis federation. Well, there to present the champion with the Venus Rosewater dish was the Duchess of Cambridge. And we want to wish her congratulations for winning that Wimbledon title. TV, online and DAB plus radio, this is GB News. We'll have more updates at the top of the hour. We'll see you then. Looking ahead to tomorrow's weather, and the UK's looking fine and dry with plenty of sunshine as high pressure continues to dominate. Let's take a closer look. A warm and sunny start across southwest England. Any mist or fog patches will quickly clear. Then we're looking at a dry picture with light winds. Temperatures around 16 Celsius. A dry start across southeast England on Sunday morning with any low cloud and mist patches soon clearing. Plenty of sunshine with temperatures quickly rising. A mainly sunny morning for much of Wales, though some low cloud may linger for a time across the far north of the country. Northwest England will get off to a rather cloudy start. However, this cloud will soon clear and we'll have plenty of sunshine developing. Temperatures around 15 Celsius with winds staying light. A sunny start to Sunday morning across northeast England. Perhaps a little low cloud around at first. Winds will be light and will be on the warm side with temperatures of 15 Celsius. Patchy rain will continue across Orkney and Shetland during Sunday morning, but largely dry and sunny elsewhere, though some western areas may stay rather cloudy in places. Temperatures around 14 Celsius. A rather cloudy start to Sunday morning across Northern Ireland, though it will be on the dry side, an increasing chance of some sunshine developing as the morning moves on. It'll be a dry, hot and sunny day ahead for much of the UK, with temperatures approaching 30 degrees Celsius. And that's how the weather's shaping up during tomorrow morning.
Welcome to Ministry of Offence. Yes, this is the historical week where the person in charge of the country has stepped down, leaving everyone wondering what they'll do next. Wouldn't worry, she'll just get another job elsewhere and plaster a new office with equally terrible wallpaper. I'm your host, Stephen Allen. I'm going to start with a quick recap of the news you might have missed. So, who on earth will be our next Prime Minister? There's only one thing we know for sure. It won't be Keir Starmer. Boris has repeatedly said he cares about the country and his party, but he clearly doesn't give a monkey's about topical monologue writers. This show is pre-recorded, so we thought we would cover all bases in our intro and edit out the ones we don't need. So, we'd like to say congratulations to our new Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, Ben Wallace, Dominic Raab, Sajid Javid, Nadine Go on. I'll do that one with a straight face. It's been a stressful week having to keep checking your phone to find out who the Prime Minister is, just in case a doctor does a cognitive impairment test on you. Apparently, Boris was so bombarded with letters calling him untrustworthy and useless, he momentarily thought it must be Father's Day. The British government was brought down by a sex scandal that, in a surprise twist, wasn't Boris's, but a gropey chief whip called Chris Pincher. Reports that Boris referred to him as Pincher by name, Pincher by nature, have been strongly denied by three of Boris's other spokesmen, Gavin Groomer, Alex Arslapper and Nancy Nick. I don't blame Keir Starmer for using this week to announce his plans for Brexit. At least with what's happening at number 10, he's got an excuse for no one listening. It's been a busy week for Just Stop Oil Group as two more of their protesters headed to the National Gallery and glued themselves to the hay wain and were immediately arrested. Of course they were. It was a constable. Had they glued themselves to a Chinese painting, they would have got Ai Weiwei with it. The price of Lurpak in my supermarket is pretty eye-watering. Then again, the dairy aisle's right next to where they put the onions, so... the government's done nothing to curb inflation. Lurpak is now £9 for a kilo of butter. That's a lot of knobs. Mind you, most of them have resigned now. And that's your weekly roundup. Time to get on with the show. Of course, no panel show is complete without panellists. So first, let's meet the teams fighting for the left. A team captain who, every week before the show, insists on taking a selfie with me. And every week, I ask her to get out of the men's toilets. It's Diane Spencer. And her teammate is someone who wrote a book called Hooligan, inspired by his own life involved in football violence. He took the knee long before the current lot, although in his case, usually to the It's Eddie Brimson. And fighting for the right is a team captain who, at 6'5", looks down on everyone. Not because he's tall, just because he's an It's Leo Kearse. And Leo is joined by a comedian originally from Romania before he came over here, stealing our panel show jobs. It's Radu Isaac. So here at Ministry of Offence, we ask our teams to tell us which minister they would like to be. So, Leo, I'm going to start with you and your team. What are you the minister of?
I'm going to be the minister of getting fired, because I don't understand how it works in England. Like, Boris got fired by other people quitting. I've been fired from loads of jobs. It never happens by other people quitting. They're never like, oh, Leo's been stealing Mars bars. Everybody, you know the drill. Quit. It's just me that gets fired.
And Radu?
I'd really like to be the Minister of Defence. Seems like a fun job to have. You just get to, like, kill people. I do enjoy it. You go to, like, once in a while you go in and you have, like, a tea with the Queen, you tell her she looks young, and then you go back to killing people. You get to be, like, one of the top 10 bullies of the planet. So what's not to love about Minister of Defence? I also think it's like a soothing job. Because it's very black and white. You have enemies, you have to kill them. It's not like any of the new AG, be the best person you can be. But if that dude is dead, I'm happy.
Let's go over to Diane's team now. What would you like to be the minister of?
Well, in these uncertain times, I want job security. So I'm going to be the minister of changing the loo roll. It's something that I seem to do anyway, all the time. I seem to be the only person who changes the toilet roll. I mean, in these days, so much is uncertain. The only certain things we've got, death, taxes, loo roll needs changing. I'm your lady.
And Eddie?
I'm going to be the minister for Boris Johnson. Because so many comics are now going to be unemployed and marginalised that we really need to get them back on board. Also, if he's got so much spare time, the birth rate's just going to go through the roof, right? I mean, the NHS is under pressure as it is. And also mental health issues. Nadine Dorries is really going to struggle after this, and I have to say, as much as I dislike her, she really looks like my girlfriend, so I find her really fruity.
Well, that's the introductions out of the way. Let's get the show started with our first round, which is Viral Load. Each week, the teams pick a video that has caught their eye. It could be political, or it could be something that they just find weird or amusing. I will decide which video is more point-worthy. This one is yours, Radu. What caught your eye this week?
We have like a German calling into the in the radio here in the UK and just bashing the UK.
Right, let's take a look.
Get the thought out of your head that you're sorely missed. You're not. For the past 6 years, you have been acting like lunatics, and you made a big nuisance of yourself. Even before that, your exceptionalism was a constant bother. Nobody misses you. Nobody needs you. And nobody trusts you. That's even worse. Nobody in his right mind would give Boris Johnson the chance to make political decisions. I know you Brits did, but we in Europe are not going to do so. So at best, you might be permitted to enter the single market and the customs union, but even that might be rescinded by the Tories once they get back into power, and nobody needs this sort of teeter-totter.
Is that Angela Merkel now she's got time on her?
I didn't check. But what did catch my eye was a German just speaking in the name of all of Europe. Thinking that's okay, yeah. So I feel like now that the UK has left the EU, what needs to happen is for France and Germany to leave, and then we can have a fair European Union. Nobody in the European Union has ever said, "Woo, the British are coming. We're happy. The Germans are here. Things are going to be better."
Were there good points being made?
What do you expect? We've spent a couple of months insulting each other's sausages and not letting each other fish where we want to fish. I am not surprised that man's reached the end of his tether and he's phoned Boris Johnson's sister out of all the people he could have rung our LBC, and he wanted to go straight to the sister who can chat to Boris afterwards. I know what his plan was.
Unless that was the thing that pushed him over the edge. Scandals left, right and centre. Boris doesn't care, but his sister's like, oh, guess what I had today at work? Oh, I'll quit. I'll quit then, why not?
You got to listen to your sister. Yeah. She's piping up. But yeah, one German sorts the whole of Europe out. That's brilliant. Been there before, haven't we?
Did it make you proud to be British, listening to that?
Well, it didn't make me proud to be German, but I'm not German. What's great about this is because we left the EU, that German guy who phoned in would have had to pay roaming charges.
Moving on to our next video. This one's yours, Eddie. What's your video all about?
Well, I'm a big fan of direct action. So this video is actually of the protesters at the museum with their protest gluing themselves to the frame.
All right, let's take a look.
I'm not interested. No. You've faced our property and you're not worthy of saying anything. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear a word of what we've got to say. I don't want to hear a word, so please give us the respect, just keeping quiet. This is your fault. This is what you're doing. So let it be a silent protest, please. Thank you. Thank you. Silent protest. Somebody, someone, please get here, please.
That is brilliant, isn't it?
She's fantastic. Even as she's walking out, she's still going. She's the only one making any noise whatsoever. It's fantastic, and what a polite couple of young lads they are. It's brilliant. They were going to attack Tracy Emin's bed, but they thought they'd never unstick themselves from that.
Wouldn't even need glue.
You'd need some lube, yeah. But the one thing, as much as I actually respect what they did, I like the way they did it. That they didn't actually go for the painting, but in order to sort it out, surely the thing they should have done is left them there all day, stuck to the painting, and at the end of the day, took the painting out of the frame and said, all right, lads, off you go, get on the bus with that.
I love the fact that This finger silences Just Stop Oil, because these are not the Extinction Rebellion people. Extinction Rebellion people are sort of 70s plus. They've seen it all, they've done it all, they don't care. Just Stop Oil, they literally source them from the unis. So these are a couple of young middle-class lads who have now come up against mum. And it's not dad you've annoyed, it's mum you've annoyed. And that's why they are quiet. They've already got like images of their Xboxes being like shut in a cupboard or something.
But the thing you got to understand is they're stuck to that frame. That finger could go wherever it wanted.
I mean, this is the solution. We don't need these new laws about banning protests. We just need this woman going around just shushing everyone.
Yeah, we need an angry woman, not a police force. I think that would work in a lot of situations. I mean, I love how hypocritical their protest is. They got like spray paint on the floor. That's made from oil. Spray paint is an oil derivative product. The glue is probably an oil derivative product. The clothes they're wearing, any synthetic fibres, that backpack, all made from oil, made from fossil fuels. How did they get there? I should imagine they didn't ride donkeys. They used oil. It's absolute nonsense. And honestly, if they're so worried about carbon footprints, they could reduce their carbon footprint to 0 by killing themselves.
Are you impressed by it?
I just noticed that they did glue themselves to an oil painting. Like they could have found something made out of crayons. The entire museum.
It's not just an oil painting, though. That's the thing. It's the fancy one, isn't it? The Hey Wayne.
It's the big oil painting.
Okay, I think the most point-worthy video is Eddie's artistic protest.
Yeah, mate.
Moving on now to the next round, which is Clickbait. Yes, in this round, we give each of our teams some news stories and task them to come up with some headlines. In true tabloid style, these headlines need to be funny, punny, or downright sensational. Basically, anything that's going to draw you in is clickbait. OK, we're going to start with this story. Kellogg's won't be allowed to promote sugary cereals in supermarket specials because of new restrictions on foods that are high in fat, salt, or sugar. The cereal giant tried to argue that its products are healthy because people add milk. Any thoughts on this story?
I think a good headline for this would be crunching up bull.
It's like saying cigars are healthy because Jimmy Savile used to add a marathon. So you got to add milk. But nobody eats cereal dry, do they? So they've got a point.
I know a lot of stoners who do that.
I'm a stoner. I add butter. Absolutely, you have to try it. Butter, sometimes I put chocolate in it. I don't always put the cereal. I would go for the court tells Kellogg's not to cry over spilled milk.
Any more thoughts?
I'd say Kellogg's get a frosty response. I've got more.
Go on.
Serial killers. Regulators tell food firm you're sweet enough already. Turns out I didn't have another one. I think they're quite healthy because you got to count the iron in the spoon. Well,
I think they should just sell chicken now. They have the logo already.
Yeah.
Well, OK, let's move on to this one. UK cinemas are banning kids wearing suits at screenings of the new film Minions: The Rise of Gru. Groups of smartly dressed youngsters are going to see the movie before causing chaos in the auditorium as part of a TikTok trend. They call themselves Gentle Minions. Thoughts on that one?
There's a right old mixture of clothing in that picture, isn't there? I mean, the fella in the jumper hasn't really made an effort, has he? Let's be honest. And I don't know what the one with the waistcoat's come as. But
yeah, he did not get the memo.
Yeah.
Eddie, does this remind you of your days as in the football firms?
We didn't dress like that, mate. Back then, this is going back. Our fashion icon was Ronnie Corbett. It was, because he used to wear a different Pringle jumper every Saturday, and you'd watch him wear that, and then next Saturday you'd try and get that Pringle.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were right.
How about suited and booted out the cinema? Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I think this is a good reminder that not all cinema shootings are tragedies.
Wow.
At least they
they get taken to court, they're dressed for it.
Any headlines?
Kids find way to make minions more annoying.
Any thoughts?
I just feel like this is what happens when kids don't do drugs and alcohol anymore. Because they have too much energy and then they just cause trouble. Like we need uppers and downers for children.
Yeah.
Give them sedatives.
What about TikTok off?
Any more headlines? Well done all. Those were great, but there can only be one winner for that round, and the winner is the red team.
That's what happens when people don't vote.
Now it's time for a break. It's the end of part 1, and then later in the show it will be the end of part 2. As a great man once said, them's the breaks. We'll see you after this.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV.
On radio.
On digital. Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices with honest and civilised conversation.
We are not part of the establishment. We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know. The latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
My name's Tom Harwood, and join me 9:30 a.m. every weekday for The Briefing, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about what's going on in politics today.
I wonder if this is a deal that might need to be like the biscuits in this factory, twice baked.
Is there not an opportunity here to win out against the extremes?
Tom Harwood, GB News.
What are you going to do about it?
Things should have been done differently, and they certainly are being done differently.
Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, 9:30 Monday to Friday on GB News.
Where would you like to go?
Just take me to the studio, please, mate. You know where you're going. I've got a show to do. Friday Night Feast on GB News, 7 p.m. And it's like nothing you've ever seen before. We take a different angle on the week's biggest news stories. The viewers and listeners set me some absolutely mad challenges to do. We tried to rehome a rescue dog. And yes, there's some other wacky stuff in there as well. I feel like I could take on the world. Well, that's that. Friday Night Feast with me, Patrick Christie's, every Friday, 7 till 9 p.m. on GB News. Be there.
Welcome back to Ministry of Offence, in a week where we saw Boris delivering his resignation speech in front of Nadine Dorries, Jacob Rees-Mogg and wife Carrie. Carrie was holding 7-month-old baby Romy and clutching a dummy. Eventually Nadine asked her to let go of her arm. We're still here with Leo Kearse, Eddie Brimson, Diane Spencer and Radu Isaac. And it's time for our next round, Lie Detector. Our teams are shown some newspaper stories from this week, and they must decide which parts of each story are true and which are false. So it's fingers on buzzers. Can you spot the lie in this first story? The chief executive of Brewdog, who was accused by hundreds of staff of bullying, has said he is trying to find out whether he's suffering from narcissism. The brewer sought help after seeing himself described as a cold-eyed person who struggles to express empathy or read social cues. What's the line there?
Can I just say that I think he's a very handsome-looking man?
I honestly think the lie is that he doesn't suffer from narcissism. Everybody around him suffers. He just enjoys having it.
Yeah, I think if you're going to make a big song and dance and do interviews with papers about your narcissism, you've probably got narcissism. Also, it's good to see Brewdog being brought down. I can't stand. They're like the sort of epitome of the new craft lager culture. Have you had craft lagers? So I remember when they just used to make lager instead of crafting it. When you make lager, it tastes nice. It's like cold and fizzy and yellow. And now they craft it and it's like warm and it's about £11 and it tastes like Domestos and flowers.
I think that he's decided to sack anybody who doesn't agree with him. I don't think he's asking his hundreds of staff if, oh no, am I too overbearing? I think he's one of those people who said, if you don't like it, get out. And he's basically hired a bunch of people it is easy to bully, like all the other dictators, Putin and Boris and Elon Musk.
If he's a narcissist bully flirting with self-awareness, does that mean he's just flirting with himself?
No one's getting close to the real answer. Well, in that case, I can tell you the real answer is that he's checking to see whether autism was the reason behind his behaviour. Ironically, the inability to read social cues is the warning on the can after drinking more than 2.
Everybody tries to blame them being a on some kind of syndrome these days.
An ism. Everyone's got an ism. I had an ism when I was younger. Hooliganism. Right, but
Gingerism.
Well, yeah, tell me about it.
Tell you about it.
Well, moving on, can you spot the lie in this next story? Fingers on buzzers. Britons are evolving to be less well-educated and poorer because smart, rich people are drinking too much, says a new survey. Evolution also appears to be favouring those with a high risk of ADHD, depression and heart disease, as well as people with more sexual partners. What's the line there?
How can evolution be favouring people with ADHD, heart disease, and something else I can't read? Depression. Surely people with ADHD, depression, and heart disease are probably more likely to kill themselves, thereby taking themselves out of the evolutionary pool, or have a heart attack climbing the steps to kill themselves.
If they've got ADHD, surely they quickly forget that they're depressed.
Oh, I was doing something a minute ago. Oh, yeah, I was sad. I was
so sad.
Nice, go on.
Oh, me heart. No, it's all right. Heart. No, I'm fine.
I think that they're evolving because they just, it's more of them because they do get like a check from the government for having it. So then over time, more of them survive. Rather than the people that don't get the check from the government.
You get a check from the government for having a heart attack?
I was thinking for having ADHD, but I wasn't really paying attention, sorry.
That's because you've got ADHD.
And I need a check from the government.
I reckon I've got ADHD because I had my mate Darius has got ADHD and he gave me some of his ADHD medication and all of a sudden I could sit still and focus and I got my taxes done. It was amazing.
To be fair, like when I was in school, I did think school was boring, but now I find out that apparently school wasn't boring. I just didn't have the right pills to enjoy school. School is very interesting, but the chemistry in my brain is all wrong.
I think it's that Britons are evolving by drinking too much coffee, and they're becoming more like Italians.
Yeah. Would also explain all of the sexual harassment happening in Parliament. Well, I can tell you then, the actual study tells us that Britons are evolving to be less well-educated because smart rich people aren't having enough children. As someone who has a crying 3-month-old baby at home, I think it seems obvious why smart, educated people are having less children. It's because they're smart and educated.
I know that when I was at school, I was told that the world was overpopulated, and that was a very big message. And at the same time as that message was broadcast, we had women can do anything. You must go out and get an amazing career. So at the same time as being told the world was overpopulated, I was also told that if I didn't get a career, I was basically a massive failure. And
yeah, but you went to school in China.
And can I just say to all my alumni, ni hao, Shanghai hai.
I bet you always won the basketball games. Well, I'm sorry to say that at the end of that round, there's no winner. Now it's time for our next round, Spin Doctors. In this round, each team has to take on the role of spin doctors and attempt to defend something questionable or divisive. This week, I've decided, Leo, your team, you're going to be going first, and you'll be defending the Girl Guides bosses for their glossary stating that there are over 100 genders and sexual preferences. Let's remind ourselves of the kind of thing we're talking about.
What are the different gender identities?
That's a really, really exciting question to ask.
Do you know there are so many gender identities? So we know we've got male and female, but there are over 100, if not more, gender identities now. So we know that some people might feel like they're two different genders, so people might think they're bi-gender, and then you've got some people who might call themselves genderqueer, who are just like, I don't really want to be anything in particular, I'm just going to be me.
Right, take it away, Leo and Radu.
I guess, you know, people might think Conservatives want traditions to continue, and it's good to see the Scouts and the Guides continuing the tradition of interfering sexually with children. You can get trans fun badges. You can get bisexuality badges. I mean, this is for kids. Sexuality isn't a thing until you're, you know, at least 11 years old in Scotland. And if they don't talk to children about transitioning, where will the children get the ideas from? There's a whole industry that's risen up around child transitioning. You've got the people who manufacture the puberty blockers, the people who manufacture the hormones, you've got the therapists. I mean, all these people have got mortgages to pay. So if you don't get in there early to the Girl Guides and the Scouts and convince them, they're not going to have enough work to do. I mean, at the moment, the only growth industry in Britain is actually transitioning children. By 2034, Britain's economy is going to be 98% transitioning children. We need to make sure we're ready for it. The Guides are introducing gender-neutral toilets. I think that's incredibly important. I actually grew up, my parents had a gender-neutral toilet in the house growing up. I couldn't believe it. My mum and my dad both used the same toilet. I was like, we are so woke.
No, I think it's a good policy. Honestly, I think, first of all, getting British people to learn like 100 new words, that's fantastic. It really is. It's developing skills, so maybe in the future you can learn like a whole new language. I don't really get how they decide, how they determine what's feminine and what's masculine, because also kind of depends on geography. Like in Romania, I'm more non-binary. Here, I'm more masculine. I feel like it even depends on London. If I take a walk from Barking to Soho, I change like 3 genders. I think grammatically it does make sense, because like initially male and female, that was just, they were nouns. It just referred, it's a penis, it's a male, vagina, female. But then people started using it as like an adjective. So then you kind of had just 2 words for like all the penises and all the vaginas in the world. So now we just have more adjectives. It kind of makes sense. It feels like we're going in the same direction, but we're fighting each other on the way. But I do feel like it shouldn't be just about sexuality. We can add, like I feel like sizes, they're kind of hateful. They have like small, medium, and large. Not everybody who's large identifies with being large. So we could just rename them as well. I was thinking of having the size Tyrastic, the size Lavender. People could feel better about themselves.
Yeah. I like that. I identify now as a 6'6", 5'7" man.
The Guides and the Scouts have brought out the style guide that also does away with terms that the Scouts aren't allowed to use. So you're not allowed to use the term dinner ladies. That's been replaced by school meal supervisors, because it's very important we don't assume the gender of the woman who's serving us dinner. They've banned the phrase Chinese whispers. So instead of Chinese whispers, it's called broken telephone. What they should change it to is Chinese telephone, because when you use your Huawei phone, the Chinese government listens and then writes down what they think they heard. So it actually works out to be in Chinese whispers.
Radu, when you said you go from Barking to Soho and you change genders 3 times, are you sure you don't mean buses?
In every bus, there's a different gender.
Well done. And now it's over to the red team. Diane, your team will be spinning the right to promote the likes of Chris Pincher to Deputy Chief Whip and ultimately bringing down an entire government. Let's remind ourselves of this issue and how it played out.
How does somebody who is found guilty by an internal investigation of inappropriate behaviour, because a number of officials complain, how does that somebody, Chris Pincher in this case, get to be Deputy Chief Whip with responsibility for welfare? The fact of the matter is, a complaint about inappropriate behaviour was made, an investigation was undertaken, and the complaint was upheld.
No, I agree with that. It's your use of the word guilty, which you wouldn't use for...
was he guilty of inappropriate behaviour or not?
He was found... the claim was found to be substantiated, but we didn't...
So he was guilty of inappropriate behaviour?
No, Susanna, guilty is a very loaded term.
OK, so off you go, Diane and Eddie.
Well, let's start from the correct position that every single man who joins the Conservative Party is a sexual deviant. Obviously, women join the Tory party because they're willing to put up with being molested just to try and make the country better, apart from Priti Patel, who collects genitalia like antlers. Got this guy, this Chris Pincher, who is known as Pincher by name, Pincher by nature, and he is hired by Boris Johnson. Why? Because Boris Johnson is striking a blow for feminism. All the male MPs are just as at risk of being sexually molested in the corridors of Westminster, thereby bringing the genders totally equal. Isn't it nice that the male MPs now have to watch what they wear? They can't wear jackets that reveal how broad-shouldered and sexy they are. They can't do their hair because, as the Conservatives like to tell us, it's always the victim's fault. Finally, the women of Westminster won't be the only ones who have to be constantly at fear of being molested all the time. The men can see what it's like as well. Thank you, Boris Johnson, for dying on the hill of feminism.
May I add, as a sexual predator myself...
Diane, that sounded quite feminist. Are you a feminist?
Yes.
And what does feminist mean?
Being able to do my job without the risk of somebody rubbing his nutsack against me. And now that Chris Pincher has been allowed to wander the corridors of Westminster, all the dirty male MPs will know exactly what it's like when somebody decides, oh, because we're having a work drink, it's totally appropriate for me to give someone a neck massage and tell them they'll go far. Ha ha, men, eat it.
If they were rubbing their penis on you, that might be more of a sexual move, whereas if they're rubbing their nutsack, they're just trying to build up static so they can stick it to a wall.
Can I just ask Diane, as I'm assuming somebody who has been inappropriately groped before, considering Pincher is the reason why we got rid of Boris, don't you think being groped a couple of times to get rid of Boris would be worth it?
No, I wouldn't go that far. I'm very much of the Priti Patel sort of mantra. If it comes near me, it's going to come off and go on the wall.
You can. If there's enough static on the balls, they'll stick there on their own.
People are like, oh, he abused his power. It's like, what other purpose is there for getting power than abusing it? We've got to give an incentive for people to rise to the top.
We shouldn't have made you a team captain, should we?
You should have made me the safeguarding officer.
Oh, God. Well,
can somebody walk me home?
I'll do that, Radu.
Well, both very well spun, but ultimately it's up to me to decide who has the best spin, and I think the most compelling defence came from the blue team.
No!
We're going to take a break now, which gives me just enough time to go to the bookies and put 3 tubs of Lurpak on who's going to be the next Prime Minister, unless I've misunderstood spread betting.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV.
On radio.
On digital. Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices with honest and civilised conversation.
We are not part of the establishment. We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel. Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
My name's Tom Harwood and join me 9:30 a.m. every weekday for The Briefing, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about what's going on in politics today.
I wonder if this is a deal that might need to be like the biscuits in this factory, twice baked.
Is there not an opportunity here to win out against the extremes?
Tom Harwood, GB News.
What are you going to do about it?
Things should have been done differently, and they certainly are being done differently.
Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, 9:30 Monday to Friday on GB News.
Where would you like to go?
Just take me to the studio, please, mate. You know where you're going. I've got a show to do. Friday Night Feast on GB News, 7 p.m. And it's like nothing you've ever seen before. We take a different angle on the week's biggest news stories. The viewers and listeners set me some absolutely mad challenges to do. We tried to rehome a rescue dog. And yes, there's some other wacky stuff in there as well. I feel like I could take on the world. Well, that's that. Friday Night Feast with me, Patrick Christie's, every Friday, 7 till 9 p.m. on GB News. Be there.
Welcome back to Ministry of Offence, in a week where we found out that rumours that Boris had been trying to give Carrie a job in a government office may not have been entirely true. If anything, she was the one giving him a job in the office. We're still here with Leo Kearse, Radu Isaac, Diane Spencer and Eddie Brimson, and it's time for our next round, Anti-Social Media. Yes, this is Anti-Social Media, in which we look at online reactions to the events of the week, and there is no bigger news story than the demise of Boris. So we're asking our panellists to name the authors of these tweets. OK, this is for both sides to guess. Here's your first one. I resign as Boris's impersonator. Who's that by?
Did the Kearse farmer?
Any other ideas?
Michael Fabricant, the one who has, like, the Vileda mop hair?
Yeah, it's not, though. No. Any other ideas?
Is it Japanese knotweed? It's very hard to get out of a house as well.
No, it's comedian Matt Lucas.
Ooh.
On to the next one. Not a moment too soon. Every politician/donor who helped him get to the job, every journalist who helped him along the way, should be consigned to oblivion with him. Worst PM in history. Some of us said it before it happened. Same with Brexit, which sadly will outlast him. Who's that by?
I'm thinking maybe it's David Cameron trying to pawn Brexit off on Boris.
Good idea. Sadly, David Cameron didn't think of that.
Is it Tony Blair?
It's not Tony Blair, but you are in the right vicinity.
Oh, Theresa May? No. She wouldn't drop that much shade on Boris, would she?
Is Theresa May that much like Tony Blair?
I'm thinking that it's a former PM who's like, worst PM in history. Am I right, guys?
I love it. Everybody's like, oh, Boris lied. Boris lied. Like Boris introduced the concept of lying to politics.
He introduced the concept of not trying, lying without trying.
Is this Putin?
No. Again, similar to Tony Blair.
I know, I'm getting so close, right?
So
Alistair Campbell.
Is the correct answer.
Ah, damn.
You can tell Alistair Campbell is a communications officer because he doesn't understand how grammar or basic syntax
or
works.
proofreading.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Right, here's your next one. I'm now playing James Blunt really loud to smoke him out.
Is it James Blunt?
It's not. Trying to get that PRS money. It's not.
Is it Rishi Sunak?
No.
Did Boris tweet that yesterday about Chris Pincher?
Let's see who it was. It's Larry the Downing Street cat.
Oh, damn!
Still trying to get rid of the pesky neighbours. OK, here's your next one. I know that guy. I'm telling you, he doesn't think it's over. He's thinking there's a war. Weird happens in a war, play for time. Play for time. I can still get out of this. I got a mandate. Members love me. Get to September. If MPs leave him in situ, there'll be carnage.
Sounds like a grime artist.
That's just the way I delivered it.
You did well, mate.
Any chance it's Kerry Johnson?
No.
Just because she didn't get a job and now she's just covering her own bum.
Volodymyr Zelensky.
No. Wow, that'd be... What an ungrateful tweet that would be.
Is it
Putin?
Putin is. He's really happy that Boris is out. So, I mean, it's not the first time that the Labour Party and Putin have been on the same side, but yeah.
Well, let's see who the right answer is. It's Boris Johnson's former chief aide turned backstabber General Dominic Cummings.
Oh, wow.
OK, here's your next one. He doesn't like us very much. We don't like him either. Has that narrowed it down?
Wow.
Is that Boris Johnson's kids? Because there's a lot of blanking out there.
That is a lot of redacting, isn't it? Oh, it's not the Queen.
He doesn't like us very much. We don't like him either.
Any other ideas?
Oh, I know another group of people who don't like Boris Johnson. The EU. I reckon this could be like the G7 lot. And you know how Macron's always like, oh, guys, yeah, let's all hang out, Boris, you're so funny, let's take our clothes off. And then as soon as he's, like, in the room with Putin, he's like, oh, my God, they were talking about you, Putin, it was terrible. And I was sticking up for you, saying you look so manly on your horse naked. So I reckon it's Macron and a bunch of other Judases who have just, like, turned around and gone, yeah, we never liked him. Pfft, who is that guy? Huh?
No, but you are getting closer. Yeah. Has that helped anyone out? I think I'm going to have to give you the correct answer. We can find out it is a response from Vladimir Putin's spokesman in the Kremlin after hearing of Boris's resignation. See, they got a sense of humour. And at the end of that round, the points go to the red team.
Yes. Nailing it.
And it's time for the quickfire round. I'll be asking rapid-fire questions based on all of the news of this week. Our teams will have to buzz in and be the fastest to answer to gain the point, so it's fingers on buzzers. What did an article in The Times suggest to boost birth rates in the UK?
More shagging.
Bring back the page 6 girl?
The page 6 girl? I didn't realise there was one. I never
made it that far.
Is it like a page 4? I don't know. I never checked.
You're getting closer.
3?
Yes! Yay!
I'll do it again. Is it the page 3 girl?
It's not what we're looking for, I'm afraid.
They're going to fine people who don't have kids?
Yeah, it's a tax on childless adults.
Wait, what? Where? What? Wait, what? When? What?
The idea is you pay more tax if you don't have kids.
Who said that?
A demographer came up with an idea of how to solve the problem of there not being enough young folk is to tax people without kids. The SAS has banned what term to describe women?
Every hole's a goal.
Hard-ass bitches.
It's not what we're looking for.
Mum!
Oh, no. Anyone else?
Is it adult human female? Because they were accused of being transphobic.
No. I'll give you the answer. It's Doris.
Oh.
What has caused a town in Florida to go into quarantine?
It's a snail that transmits. It transmits something.
Telepathy.
Like, I wish it did, then I'd remember that. No, it transmits something, but really slowly. I mean, you've got a few weeks before
Magic
you catch it.
So it's an African land snail known for carrying... Do you want to guess the disease?
I was trying to do that for about a minute.
It's... Oh, I can't...
Zika virus.
Not malaria, not monkeypox, meningitis. Meningitis!
Meningitis is the correct answer!
Take
that. No one's ever been that happy about meningitis, have they? Yay! What has Venice, Italy, become the first city in the world to announce?
Is it that canals are better than roads?
No.
Is
Is it that you aren't allowed to go there as a tourist anymore because they're trying to get rid of all the tourists because they loved it when nobody came during the pandemic?
No, but it's something that would make you not want to be a tourist.
Oh.
Oh, are they moving to Scunthorpe?
No, it's an entry fee for tourists of €10. Which famous 93-year-old character will enter the public domain in 2024?
Janet Street Porter.
Anyone else?
Mussolini.
Oh, you're so close.
Is he really close?
Yeah.
Some Walt Disney person?
Yeah.
Walt Disney?
No.
Wait, how did you get...
Mickey Mouse. Or Mussolini. It's
Yeah, I was
close.
going to say, how did you get Walt Disney and Mussolini?
They're both fascists.
Oh.
Why are Toby Carvery customers gravely disappointed with a nationwide chain?
They're doing away with gravy at breakfast.
No, it's not right.
They're doing away with one of the meats.
Yes.
What?
So they're doing away with lamb. It's lamb.
It's yes, correct. They're taking lamb off of their 3-meat Sunday roast menu, which surely is then no longer a 3-meat Sunday roast menu. Imagine trying to complain, Toby Carvery. What's your beef? Why is Canada binning 13.6 million AstraZeneca vaccines?
They were made accidentally, but with flavouring. So, like, some of them are salt and vinegar, some of them are cheese and onion. And it's like, you can't have flavours on a vaccine, mate.
Not what we're after.
Because nobody wants them.
It's the correct answer. The government couldn't find any takers, home or abroad, for the UK-made vaccine. Fox News presenter Tucker Carlson has blamed the July the 4th mass shooting on what?
Oh, well, he is an idiot, so it's going to be something ridiculous, like, oh, left-handed people who don't make their own custard and they don't cross the road properly by talking to Jesus first. It's going to be something rubbish like that because he's a moron.
It's exactly word for word what I've noticed.
Thank
you. Anyone else?
He's a really smart guy, so I'm thinking, is it going to be drugs, SSRI, antidepressants, and video games?
No, I mean, you're half there with drugs.
Cannabis?
Cannabis is one of the things he's blamed on. 2 things, something and cannabis.
No, women.
Women and cannabis are
Yes,
the 2 things.
women and cannabis.
Of course, we all know the one thing that can stop a bad guy with women and cannabis is a good guy with women and cannabis. There's no way to do it.
Was women right?
Yeah. Oh. Women and cannabis. 2 things that'll cause you to have a mass shooting.
Evil!
I mean, you'd almost imagine you might need a gun to do a shooting, but apparently no. Women and cannabis. What are Chinese builders now accepting as a down payment for property?
Tibet!
It's food and other, like, commodities.
Yeah, they will work for food now. Garlic, wheat and watermelon are apparently the ones on the list. Last week, Tory MP Danny Kruger suggested women shouldn't have autonomy over their own bodies, but who is his famous mum?
Is it going to be like a mega-feminist? Like, is it going to be a secret Germaine Greer love baby?
No. No one knows who Danny Kruger's mum is?
Oh! Is it going to be like a sexy woman who has always said that she's got autonomy over her own body, like Samantha Fox?
I mean, kind of. This woman is hot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Prue Leaf.
Prue Leaf is the correct answer.
She's proper fruity.
And that is the end of the Quickfire round. And at the end of the Quickfire round, the winners are the blue team. And that means that, sadly, we've also reached the end of the show. Congratulations to this week's winners, the red team.
Thank you. Well done, sir. Well done. My teammate.
To the winners, your prize, a new Prime Minister, although I'm afraid you can't collect it for a while. And to the losers, who won't be going away empty-handed, you get some used wallpaper from number 10. Thanks to our team captains, Leo, Kearse and Diane Spencer. And to our guests this week, Radu Isaac and Eddie Brimson. I've been your host, Stephen Allen, and we'll be back at the same time next week. See you then.
Looking ahead to tomorrow's weather, and the UK's looking fine and dry with plenty of sunshine as high pressure continues to dominate. Let's take a closer look. A warm and sunny start across southwest England. Any mist or fog patches will quickly clear. Then we're looking at a dry picture with light winds. Temperatures around 16 Celsius. A dry start across southeast England on Sunday morning with any low cloud and mist patches soon clearing. Plenty of sunshine with temperatures quickly rising. A mainly sunny morning for much of Wales, though some low cloud may linger for a time across the far north of the country. Northwest England will get off to a rather cloudy start. However, this cloud will soon clear and we'll have plenty of sunshine developing. Temperatures around 15 Celsius with winds staying light. A sunny start to Sunday morning across northeast England. Perhaps a little low cloud around at first. Winds will be light and will be on the warm side with temperatures of 15 Celsius. Patchy rain will continue across Orkney and Shetland during Sunday morning, but largely dry and sunny elsewhere, though some western areas may stay rather cloudy in places. Temperatures around 14 Celsius. A rather cloudy start to Sunday morning across Northern Ireland, though it will be on the dry side, an increasing chance of some sunshine developing as the morning moves on. It'll be a dry, hot and sunny day ahead for much of the UK, with temperatures approaching 30 degrees Celsius. And that's how the weather's shaping up during tomorrow morning.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV.
On radio.
On digital. Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices with honest and civilised conversation.
We are not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel. Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know. The latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
My name's Tom Harwood and join me 9:30 a.m. every weekday for The Briefing, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about what's going on in politics today.
I wonder if this is a deal that